Good evening. My name is Gavin Rollins. I'm the chairman of the Clay County Commission, and we just got done meeting in our regularly scheduled Board of County Commissioners meeting. And I want to talk about a subject that I know is very important to most of our community. It's student safety and this issue surrounding our schools and keeping our schools safe. Tonight in the Clay County Commission meeting, the Board of County Commissioners voted to give $2.1 million towards the effort. Now, the state requires ultimately the school board pay for the school funding when it relates to student safety, but the county commission understands that all of us have an ethical duty to keep our students safe, and so the Clay County Commission has committed $2.1 million towards that effort, 1.8 in capital improvement funding that can go towards the equipment needed to equip the officers, and then $300,000 in operating expenses to get the program started. We understand that this is a monumental task and it requires all of us to be committed to it. And I just wanted you, the public, to understand that we as a county commission stand united behind school safety and keeping every child safe. And just wanted to clarify that moving forward. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer them. But we'll move forward as we continue in this process and make sure that every child in Clay County is safe. I think it's important and helpful for the public to understand a little bit of our background. Commissioner Bola already alluded to it, but just briefly, before we begin this discussion, as the sheriff has said, we all care about student safety, but I want to kind of just make it personal here a little bit. Commissioner Bola was on the school board, so he understands student safety, and many of his children have come through the school system. There's no doubt he cares and understands. Commissioner Hutchings currently runs a school and will be impacted by the safety decisions made in terms of the school. So, and not to mention her grandchildren in the schools who will be impacted by this. Commissioner Hendry has besides a life of service in the Marines and in the Sheriff's Office, also is an educator, and you have a master's in education leadership. Commissioner Sella is in schools every single day. Did you sub today? Not today, but yesterday, right? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, so yesterday he was literally in a classroom. And I came straight from class teaching special needs students in a Clay County classroom where I will be impacted and all of my students will be impacted by these decisions. So I just wanted to frame it up that way and be very clear because honestly, and I understand we're public officials and so, comments are made and that type of thing, but it is pretty disheartening to be someone to just say because they don't fully understand the issue that you don't care about kids somehow because you're having discussions on how to make this a reality. So I just wanted to be very clear. We all care deeply about student safety, and it's very personal for all of us. And so we're going to try as hard as we can to make this a reality, but there is reality we have to deal with. So I just wanted to start out the discussion by explaining that so that you guys have a frame of reference of where we're coming from on this issue.
If I thought I wasn't harming the Board of County Commissioners and the sheriff and the other people that we have to fund their operations, I would say that we should consider doing the ad valorem ourselves because it's that important. But based upon where we're at, I think we would be undercutting the things that we're responsible for if we were to do that. So I guess it's not an option.
I would have to agree with you, especially considering that we have that additional $25,000 homestead exemption that's on the ballot as part of a referendum. If that passes, and we believe that it will, we don't have a crystal ball, but if it does, then that $5 to $6 million is going to have to come out of our budget in some fashion, shape, or form, either through a cut or additional revenue. So we really, as many of the counties and many of the other county commissioners I've talked to have indicated that they're all reluctant because we're all in that same situation. And our $5 to $6 million pales, even as large as it is for us, it pales with some of these bigger counties what they're going to be having to Manatee County, which is down in the Sarasota area, they're at 9 or 10 million. Jacksonville, I think, is 20 or 30 million or more. So the sheriff, we haven't gotten his budget. We don't know what he's asking for. So if he decides that he's going to implement some new program that takes a little bit above and beyond what we gave him monies for in the past, we need to be able to respond to that and be able to give him what he needs to do the job that the people expect him to do. As Mr. Hodges says, he's probably underfunded as he is now, and I think he's already talked about not having as many people on the street as he'd like to have. So it would be a perfect world if we could just isolate this particular problem, but we also would be not looking at the situation the way that we need to so that we can be responsible for our budget. We have another storm. We've got to be responsible for the cleanup. We're still on the hook for $12 million or more from reimbursement that we haven't got that we took out of our reserves. They took reserves to actually fund operationally their raises for their teachers. Nobody's claiming that the teachers don't deserve a raise. Trust me, I work with a lot of them. I wouldn't say that. But at the same time, they took it out of reserves, and if you're down to the nubs as far as your reserve is concerned, then obviously you have a problem there. Our reserves have gone to clean up the community and try to recover from 2 major storms back-to-back years. So my thought is, I have no problem, and it makes it a little easier because we have a little bit of breathing room and we can move some projects so that maybe some of the folks don't get some of the drainage and some of the other things that some of the roads and some of the things that we thought would happen this year to next year. I don't have a problem with the capital, and I would move that we approve the $1.8 million that the sheriff needs for his cars and other equipment that are attached to the cars, contingent on the fact that the school board moves forward and actually does something. Obviously, we can't let the sheriff go out and buy a bunch of cars if we're not going to be able to put bodies in there. So I would like to see us move at least on that, and then we can maybe talk about maybe some operational funds, maybe borrowing from some of the sheriff's fine and forfeiture fund to be able to get us a little closer. We're looking at $4.5 million. We take 1.8 from that for the capital that's necessary. We're down to 2.7. The school board, as of July 1st, will have 1.6. So now we're down to 1.1. Sheriff just told us he's going to cut out 225 to start us off. So now we're at 875. We take 300 out of that to help with that. Now we're at 575. That would be beholden on the school board to figure out how they could put it there. We would then be almost at $3 million, or at 60% thereabouts of that total, and I think that is more than generous. And I hesitate to get emotional about this, but the bottom line is I think that the school board needs to be able to step up and show political courage and figure out where they're going to take that money and how they're going to be able to come up with that other 40% at that point in time. So bottom line is I know they were looking for us to pay the whole thing. It would be irresponsible for us to be able to put out much more money and then put us in a situation where next year we're looking to borrow money just to be able to put our budget together, because that's what it could be if we have a storm, and we got to plan for those potential hits on the budget. So that would be my recommendation, and I throw that on the floor for continued discussion.